Good afternoon and happy Tuesday. Welcome to Coffee and a Card. So I am Holly with Handcrafted Blessings, and we are going to be here to make 2 cards after we look at some happy mail. So I'm just gonna get everything up and running while you guys are coming in. And there we go. So we got to enjoy a morning without Facebook. So, right now I've got a BOGO sale going on Facebook, and I went to log in this morning to help you guys with your questions and get your orders put together, and Facebook wasn't working. So thankfully it's back up and running now, and the BOGO sale is still happening, so you can check that out and shop away for a couple more days. Excuse me. All right, welcome to everybody who's coming in. I always like it when I start to see names show up. It means it's working. So we're gonna figure this out. I've got too many cords here because my phone is dying, so I have things plugged in. Hi Karen, hi Patricia. Welcome you guys. Okay, we'll see if we can do this. Hi Judy. So thanks for joining me, you guys. And we are going to look at some happy mail. Here we go. I can do this. I can do this. I've been messing with my workspace, and so everything is just discombobulated right now. Do you ever feel that way? It's springtime and I want to do some spring cleaning, and so I've been switching things around, but it means things are weird. All right, let's start with some happy mail. We got one from Linda Tiroli in New York. And it says, thank you. Look at those beautiful dies. Aren't those fun? There's a die and embossing folder that does these words here. Let's see. How does this work? Oh, okay. Here we go. Let me come all the way back here. See that? It's very long. This is a designer series paper card. So it says sending hugs in the middle panel, and then the bottom has the place to write the message. So that's super fun. I have to come all the way back here though for it to fit in the camera. What a pretty card. Okay, the next one is from Madeline Glover, who's also in New York. Oh, look at that. I'm so lucky to know you. It's a St. Patrick's Day card. Very fun. It says, kiss me, I'm Irish. What I love about St. Patrick's Day is that everything is green, and green's my favorite color. So I get super excited about this month when everybody is doing green stuff. It's really fun. Next, we have one from Rosie Keene in South Dakota. And it says, thinking of you. Isn't that beautiful? It's beautiful. And it's a gatefold card. It says, heartfelt love and caring thoughts are with you. And I really like this die cut here that she's added too. And then the butterfly. That's really cool. Yeah. Oh, aren't we all glad that Facebook is back, Jean? All right. So I am going to switch this over here. There we go. Now I can actually see you guys. All right. And the last one comes from Linda Johnson in Florida. And it says, oh my gosh, that's adorable. Look at that. Heal It bandages. That is so cute. Oh, let me take out her note that's filling out. And it says, I can talk. The threads of friendship embroider our lives with patterns of joy. That's super cute, Linda. All right. Well, thank you guys for sending happy mail. I love showing off your creativity and what you are working on these days. So that is really fun for me. That's why I call it happy mail. All right. I am going to switch around here. And we are going to be making 2 cards today. And they are both going to feature embossing folders. So I wanted to... there we go. I think I got it. Okay. So I wanted to show some embossing folders today because I think they're a really fun way to kind of step up your cards, but in such a simple way. And so, yeah, we're going to use a couple of embossing folders, but I'm going to feature go-to greetings for our stamp set. And then the two embossing folders, because I'm making two different cards, we're going to do the Cascading Ruffles and the Exposed Brick embossing folders. So let's start with a nice simple card using this Cascading Ruffles embossing folder. So where is my paper? Okay, so we are going to do, we're going to make this card here, and we are going to use that Cascading Ruffles embossing folder. So we'll start with our basic white card base, which measures 5.5 by 8.5. So you gotta move this stuff so I can get my trimmer here. And I'm gonna score it at 4 1/4. Okay, so what we might call a standard card base and just kind of a regular fold, you know? And then we are going to take Sweet Sorbet, and this one is gonna measure 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. So 4 7/8, and we need 2 of these. So we're going to do 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. And we're going to cut 2 at this size. So there's 1 and 3 5/8. So there's 2. So we've got 2 pieces of the Sweet Sorbet. And then we're going to need 2 basic white pieces. And these are going to need to be 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. So we'll do 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. So what I did was I keep a lot of these white inserts pre-cut in a container right next to me. So I have some that are 3 3/4 by 5 and some that are 4 by 5 1/4. So kind of what you might call the first 2 layers that you'd put on your card base, kind of standard layers, if you will. So I just grabbed a couple of those, and that's what we're cutting down to size here. So 4 3/4 by 3 1/2 is what we're doing. All right, so we got 2 of those. Okay, so then we will grab the cut and emboss machine, and we'll take one of those basic white layers. And for this embossing, we need plate number 1, which is your big thick plate that goes on the bottom. And then we need plate number 4, because both of the embossing folders we're using here today are 3D embossing folders. Now for this card, I want my ruffles to go horizontally. So I'm just going to be mindful of that as I put my piece of paper in here. There is a black line here on each end of the logo, so I can use that to keep my paper straight. We put our embossing folders in spine first. If you do the opening first, there's a good chance that you could break your embossing folders. So make sure you crank them in spine first. Okay. So stick that in here for a second. And we'll take our ruffled paper. Now I know sometimes it's hard for me to get the ruffles to show up really well, or even any embossing, when it's a basic white piece of paper. But I'll make sure I take good pictures to post for you, because it's such a cute embossing folder. All right, what we're going to do now is we are going to grab our Sweet Sorbet ink, and I'm using the stamp Happy Birthday, and I'm just going to stamp that here on my embossed piece. And apparently today I'm going to add a nice long line to the bottom of it also. But you know what's kind of nice is because it's long, it actually almost looks like I meant to do it. So, I think I'm going to leave it, actually. I actually kind of like the line. I think what I'll do, there's no mistakes, just opportunity for creativity, right? We are going to use our marker, and we're going to make it look like we intended to do that. So, there we go. And I'll add some embellishments to also mix it up. We'll see. We'll see if I can resurrect this. You guys, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think so. So, good thing we've cut 2 of these. We're just going to right quick emboss something else. So, we're going to take our embossing machine. And actually, you know what we can do? Let me show you another way to do this. Part of why I got that ring was because my sheet is already embossed. Where did my ink go? Here we go. So the other way you could do it is you can stamp first and then emboss. So let's do that. Because then I don't have the rippled paper getting in the way. Oh, Kathy says she does a swirly line under for the shadow. Yeah, I might have to play around with it and see if I can resurrect it, but I'm just I'm not pleased with it right at this moment. So we're just gonna quick emboss the second one. So we can take our folder again, stick our sheet in, and emboss it one more time. It's the fun of live videos is you can just redo things on the fly. Corey says creating design elements. Absolutely. Okay. Whoops. Just dropped that machine. Okay. So take 2. We have our embossed ruffles. There we go. Okay. So I am going to take this piece and I am going to put tape all the way around it, which is, you guys, now I'm all discombobulated because that's not actually the next step of this card. We have to put our ribbon on first. This is going to be maybe a video in what not to do. No, I'm just kidding. This is just live crafting at its best. So we actually want to put a piece of ribbon here across the front. So I'm going to set it there. And then since I already have tape on the back, it actually kind of works nicely. I can just set those down. And I'm just going to add a little more tape on the ends of the ribbon to tape it down. But I only wanted my ribbon to go around my sweet sorbet layer. I could have just as easily done both layers. I don't know why I was just hooked on having the white layer done, but that's where my brain was at today. So we've got our card base, and we'll take our 2 layers. And we'll add that to the front of our card. There we go. Now we've got our white, and I am just going to grab a piece of, we've got our sweet sorbet. I'm going to grab a piece of white, and we're going to cut it back down to 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. So that we have our pieces for the inside. So you'll remember at the very start, we cut 2 of each of the sweet sorbet and the basic white. And that was because I wanted to create a matching element on the inside of my card. Just a little peek of that sweet sorbet sticking out. Now, if you wanted to, before you adhered these 2 together, you could die cut or punch something out of here to make use of that sweet sorbet. If you feel like you're wasting a lot of sweet sorbet, that would be, you know, a totally good option with, whatever color you're using. So we have that on the inside now. And then we'll finish off the front of our card. So we'll come back here to our ribbon, and I will cut a strip And I'm just gonna tuck that underneath here. And we're gonna just tie a simple knot. Just like that. By doing it with 2 separate pieces, it's a lot easier to get that knot to lay flat on your card. I have a heck of a time doing it. If I were to wrap the ribbon around these layers and then try to tie my knot, it just wouldn't lay as flat and pretty as this. So that's what I call kind of like a cheater bow or a cheater knot. You just do 2 separate pieces. Okay, and then we need a little bit more bling. So I'm gonna grab my rhinestones here. And I'm actually just gonna add one. Just one little blingy rhinestone right there. So here we have our first card featuring an embossing folder. So there we go. Yeah, Kathy's asking if you can color the sheer ribbon. I would think so. Let's try it. Here's a little scrap of it. We'll do sweet sorbet. I don't know how well it's gonna color. Yeah, actually, no, it totally will. So yes, whoops, you can color that ribbon. So I can hold it down here and you can see it does color. So there you go. You could color the ribbon to match whatever your card is. And then you'll have coordinating ribbon as well. That is the beauty, I think, of any of our light colored ribbon. This is, I actually wouldn't have thought of that. So that was a really great question, Kathy. But any of our like white or vanilla or, you know, just light colored ribbons, you can take the markers and the blends and color your ribbon. And now all of a sudden you have coordinating ribbon for all sorts of things. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. And let's make a second card that also features an embossing folder. So we'll do this card here. So for this color combination, I am using Lost Lagoon, Crumb Cake, and then I'm using the, let's see, I think I've got it sitting here. Perennial Lavender, I think it's called. Yeah, Perennial Lavender Designer Series paper. Okay. All right, so let's start with our card base. So our Lost Lagoon is 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm gonna score it at 4 1/4. So I've got my card base, and let me grab my pieces under here. I have got a piece of crumb cake that is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. That one was already cut this size, so I didn't have to cut it again, but it's 4 by 5 1/4. Now our purple, our Gorgeous Grape Designer Series paper here, this is the back side of this paper. We're going to cut this to be 2 by 4. So 2 by 4. There we go. And then our other piece of Designer Series paper, which is this design here, it's kind of got the butterflies and some different flowers on it. I'm going to cut this at 2 by 3. 2 by 3. So 2 by 3 and 2 by 4 are our 2 sizes. And I did try to intentionally cut a piece that had some of those butterflies there because I just think they're really cute. Okay, so we will take our crumb cake piece and our cut and emboss machine. And for this card, we are using the exposed brick embossing folder. So once again, we've got that line that goes here by the logo, so we can have a nice straight brick wall. Unless you intentionally want to create a crooked brick wall, and you could totally do that. Put our embossing folder in spine first. Crank it through. And we have our exposed brick embossing folder. So it has really beautiful texture. I think what's really cool about using embossing folders is, I said this kind of at the beginning, it's such a simple way to add oomph. Is that the right word? To add oomph to your card. So instead of having just paper, you've got texture and you've got pattern, and I just think it's such a fun and simple way to kind of step up your cards. So if you haven't tried embossing folders, I highly recommend them. They're a lot of fun to play with. And we have both 3D and regular ones. All right, so I'm going to stick that on here. Now we're going to use our Lost Lagoon ribbon here. And I'm just going to be laying that here. Let's see, I don't really want to cover up the butterfly, so I'm going to go a little bit higher than that butterfly right there. So I'll just kind of hold it snug and flip my card over. There we go. And now I can put tape all around my edges. So I don't think I said this on the first card because I was discombobulated, but when I'm using 3D embossing folders, I do like to put tape around all 4 sides of my card. That way it lays nice and flat when you adhere it down. Okay, so we've got those pieces together. And we'll go ahead and get this basic white put on the inside. This one is 3 3/4 by 5. Just putting a little insert in here. Lost Lagoon is light enough that people could write their message on this card, but I like to have the finished look of putting that basic white on the inside. So we'll just use our bone folder and crease down our card front. And I have got a die cut. This is from, I believe it's called Thoughtful Expressions dies is what this is from. Okay, so we've got our Lost Lagoon ink. And then another stamp from that Go-To Greetings is thank you. So put that here. Oh no, I did it again. I'm having all sorts of fun with these rings. This time we're gonna leave it. I'm gonna have to play with using the swirls like you guys were talking about. Okay, we're gonna take some dimensionals. I also like to remember that people know these cards are handmade, and honestly, a lot of people aren't even gonna know that that was a mistake. So I think sometimes we as crafters can be a little hard on ourselves because we know what we intended to do. But a lot of times our recipients have no idea, and so they just appreciate getting a gorgeous card from us. Okay, I am going to use the rhinestones once again. And this time, I think I'm gonna bling up this little sentiment piece. Go. Add a little bling to our card. And then I'll just stick one here in the flowers as well. All right, and so here we have our thank you card. And I think what I'll do is I'll try taking my Lost Lagoon, let's see, marker. I'm gonna try a little swirly thing like y'all were talking about. I'm just gonna use our, how's that? So that's just using, and these are the new marker tips. And so they're actually great for writing with. But we can now pretend I did it on purpose. Oh, you guys, it really, no mistakes, just opportunities for creativity, right? Okay, so my sample card, I had just grabbed some die cuts that were extras that were sitting here on my desk, so that's why they're different. But you can see here, you can make this design with different types of die cuts. And then, of course, we have our first one, our happy birthday with the ruffles embossing folder. So Kathy said she was waiting for me to cut my card base in half instead of score it. Yeah, I've definitely done that. I've gotten my scoring and cutting mixed up. It's easy to do. Well, thank you guys for tuning in today to Facebook Live, full of creativity, mixing it up and fixing our mistakes as we go. So thanks for tuning in to Coffee and a Card, and don't forget to encourage one another and build each other up. I'll see you soon.